Companies that are embracing artificial intelligence have to ensure that they design and implement an appropriate governance framework to meet basic requirements. Artificial intelligence presents significant risks that have to be identified, have to be mitigated, have to be monitored, and have to have a governance infrastructure starting at the board and continuing and flowing down into the organization.
Global companies face unprecedented risks and challenges in today's economy. To mitigate these legal and economic risks, companies are rapidly embracing and elevating the importance of robust ethics and compliance programs to promote positive corporate citizenship. On Corruption, Crime, and Compliance, you'll hear from industry leaders and insiders about how to create effective ethics and compliance programs that will mitigate risks and maximize financial performance. Here's your host, Michael Volkov.
Well, hello, everyone. Michael Volkov here for another episode of Corruption, Crime, and Compliance. Today, we're going to talk about board oversight and monitoring of AI risks, artificial intelligence risks, a hot topic these days, as we all know. Welcome to sunny Del Mar, California, outside of San Diego. Just beautiful here. And hope everybody's having a great summer as well. So let's talk about artificial intelligence risks. And corporate boards, we know, face a panoply of risks, and the nature of these risks are obviously quickly evolving. For example, this year, the number one risk that was reported was cybercrime and ransomware attacks. Technology is fast becoming a leading risk for companies. In particular, we had the cybersecurity disclosure regulations that just came out recently. We're going to have a podcast on that with regard to cybersecurity disclosures by public companies. Board members face these technology issues, which are fast becoming exponential risks. This is a real challenge. And the challenge is because board members are not cyber experts, they're not technical experts, and they don't really like to focus a lot on technical issues. Not to be too simplistic or harsh, but board members at board meetings usually ask the chief information security officer or whoever is responsible for technology, are we doing okay? And they don't want to hear or get into all of the details, and then they move on. That model has got to change. It makes it a little bit more complicated, but let's talk now about even a new and even faster growing risk for boards, which is artificial intelligence. By this time, when you get to that at the board meeting, eyes are going to glaze over. What is artificial intelligence? What are you talking about? Why is this a risk for us? And directors, we start with the one main framework that we can all agree is pretty much the same, but it's evolving, which is your Caremark obligations, your obligations to conduct oversight and monitoring of compliance and legal risks. And here, directors now have a significant oversight obligation now to cover artificial intelligence as businesses embrace these new tools and new techniques, Chat GPT we hear about. And obviously, this raises a new dynamic in the boardroom in terms of risks. So first, if properly applied, artificial intelligence can exponentially assist businesses. For example, there's a business case to be made in various industries, not in every, that it can be used to increase the accuracy and speed of processes that may depend upon human functions. For example, companies are spending more money on artificial capabilities to assist in procedures or processes. Let's say you're a bank and you're making lending decisions based upon a process, and you use artificial intelligence as part of an algorithm to assess risk. Well, that raises a whole host of issues. To the extent, as part of your due diligence process, you may use artificial intelligence type of tools again with an algorithm to assess risk again. But companies have to be careful in this area. We've all heard about Zillow's disastrous implementation of a housing value algorithm that was offered on their website and that was riddled with problems, forcing Zillow to shut it down in its new product offering. So companies have to identify and assess the potential risks. We still don't know if and how, for example, the federal and state governments in the United States let alone going to Europe or other areas, are going to impose regulatory regimes over artificial intelligence. Congress and the executive branch are focusing on artificial intelligence risks and appropriate regulation. In this uncertain environment, stakeholders are quickly discovering the real and significant risks generated by artificial intelligence. And companies have to develop risk mitigation strategies before implementing artificial intelligence tools and solutions. These risks cover a wide swath of terrible results. Artificial intelligence can rapidly be used to spread disinformation. Algorithms can have built-in racial discrimination or other biases. An artificial intelligence platform can easily and with little effort cause privacy invasions and possibly lead to layoffs, primarily among white-collar workers. In combination, these are some significant risks. Like I mentioned earlier with regard to the Caremark framework, companies need to develop appropriate compliance policies and procedures tailored to specific risk profile. How does artificial intelligence fit into your business model? Where are the risks that are created by the use of it in your business? And corporate boards have to head up this effort, or at least ask questions about it, at least address the issue, and oversee and monitor a company's artificial intelligence compliance program. And corporate boards are familiar already with the legal framework. Like I said, the Caremark decision requires that a corporate board ensure that a compliance program is operating, that the board is informed as to the compliance program and its effectiveness in mitigating risks, and that the company has implemented a training program that, let's say, goes along with that. Over the last 10 years, we've seen shareholder derivative suits based on Caremark violations become an even more significant risk. For a long time, the Delaware courts would simply grant the motion to dismiss shareholder derivative claims based on Caremark, given the low standard that usually was applied for the court when applying the standard to plaintiffs' claims. But now what we've seen in the last few years, and if you read our blog or you listen to our podcasts, you know that several Caremark claims have survived motions to dismiss, particularly in those areas where compliance failures have had an impact on innocent consumers, being food safety, air travel, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices. For example, the sort of legendary case against Boeing and the two horrific crashes of the 737 MAX, the Chancery Court applied the well-established Caremark factors and cited the board's failure to implement or prioritize safety oversight at the highest level of the corporate pyramid. None of Boeing's board committees were specifically assigned responsibility for overseeing airplane safety. Second, the Chancery Court noted that the board at large was not formally monitoring or discussing safety on a regular basis. In particular, the court cited board discussions of 737 MAX issues that were passive invocations of quality and safety that fell far short of the rigorous oversight that Caremark contemplates. So listen to that language and apply it now to artificial intelligence. But before we get there, let me go over a couple more issues. While Boeing's audit committee was charged with oversight of risk as a general matter, the audit committee never examined or even considered airplane safety. For example, when the board discussed audit plans in 2014 and 2017, it did not mention nor address airplane safety. Instead, the audit committee maintained a singular focus on financial risks and profits. Even after the Lion Air 737 MAX crash, Boeing's CCO update to the audit committee failed to mention product safety as a compliance risk. Third, the management's periodic reports to the board in the Boeing case did not include safety information. CEO Muhlenberg sent the board a monthly summary and competitor dashboard and occasionally made presentations at board meetings. These communications focused on the business impact of airplane safety crises and risks and not overall product safety issues. Further, the court cited that Boeing's board did not have a mechanism for receiving internal complaints about airplane safety, and their internal reporting system only reached managers below the senior management and board level. The board never learned about any employee or whistleblower safety complaints. So given this Boeing case, given the Chancery Court's recent invocation of Caremark to hold corporate boards accountable, Companies that are embracing artificial intelligence have to ensure that they design and implement an appropriate governance framework to meet basic requirements. Artificial intelligence presents significant risks that have to be identified, have to be mitigated, have to be monitored, and have to have a governance infrastructure starting at the board and continuing and flowing down into the organization. So here's a basic list of compliance oversight tasks for artificial intelligence. 1, listing of artificial intelligence risks as a standing agenda item for every board quarterly meeting. A standing committee can be assigned the task, or full board discussions can address the issue each quarter. Putting it into the audit committee, given the audit committee's overall responsibilities, may not be a good idea. Number 2, companies should add a board member with technical expertise to cover cybersecurity, data governance, and artificial intelligence. This is along with our recommendation from Volkov law that boards include ethics and compliance expertise. Now we need even more expertise in the technical area to cover cybersecurity, data governance, and artificial intelligence. 3, board members should be briefed on existing and planned artificial intelligence deployments to support the company's business and or support functions. In other words, they've got to be notified, brought along that this is going to be a new tool that we're using, and here are the risks, and here are the mitigation techniques we have in place. 4, designation of senior management executives responsible for artificial intelligence compliance, be it the chief compliance officer, be it the chief information security officer. Somebody's got to own this issue. And finally, number 5, corporate boards should ensure that an effective compliance framework is in place, including avenues for reporting potential violations of corporate policies and applicable regulations applicable to artificial intelligence. Anyways, that's a quick review. We'll be back to talk more about artificial intelligence because it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. Anyways, have a great week, and we'll be back in touch next week with another episode of Corruption, Crime, and Compliance.
If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the show is by subscribing on your favorite listening platform. To learn more and connect with Michael Volkov, go to volkovlaw.com.